Joe, I think from most fans' point of view, even taking into account the absentees, that was well below par, wasn't it?
Yeah, apologies to supporters first of all. I think a lot of the lads have let themselves and the club down, let me down. Disappointed. You can go on about people missing, but every one of them players in there thinks they're good enough to start games. So full credit to Binfield. I thought they did well. They had a game plan, and no, I'll take nothing away from them, regardless, because I think if you start going on about changes, it takes away from what they've done, and no, fair play to them, and I wish them well in the next round.
There were 9 senior players out there. It looks completely different approach, mindset from the last couple of games. Any idea where that came from?
Listen, players have got to look at themselves and wonder if to me it looks like they're feeling sorry for themselves that they've got a few players missing. Listen, it isn't ideal, but like I say, there's 9 senior players out there that will consider themselves first team players, so they've got to pull the others through it. Look, at half time I didn't think there wasn't a lot in the game first half. I think we had the first chance, Lewis Guard, but we never got on the ball well enough. I think, don't get me wrong, I think they've done their own work. They've left the pitch quite long, and it was hard for us to get on the ball, but that's a cheap excuse. I think there's still players out there good enough, but if you're being honest, and you can't win a game of football with. You struggle to win games of football with 2 people having off days. I think we had probably 6. If you're really looking at it, minimum. Out of those 9, I'd take the academy boys out of that. If you're really looking at the likes of TQ, Luke Holness, then you drop into midfield. You go as a free guardy, James Taylor and Manny. I thought that's probably the worst game you've had this season. And you can't win games of football with that many people missing. And they've just been told some home truths in there. They're a good group. I thought for me it looked one game too far for some of them. I thought some of them looked leggy. You look at someone like James Taylor and he's as fit as you like. I thought today him and Luke Guard and Manny looked very leggy, and whether after the 2 sort of games and then another game we just look whether it's a game too far for them, but again I'm finding excuses for them and I don't want to do that. If you're looking at bright spots, I suppose I thought Leo Vals actually had a very good game, and I just said I feel sorry for him in there really because he hasn't been helped out, but the side out there is good enough to get a result, but we haven't. Like I say, too many didn't turn up today and want to do the basics, and when you come in these lower leagues, lower league teams, you've got to do the basics well, and not enough of them have done that today.
Do they accept that?
Whether they accept it or not, it's the truth. So I'm always honest, and they know they always know where they stand with me. I don't just say things for the sake of it. I just said in there in probably 13 years of managing, that's probably one of the worst performances from one of my sides. And is it the side I would pick if everyone was available? Of course not. But I still demand that the lads go out and do the basics well, and we haven't done that today. So yeah, I could stand here and lie and go, oh, they're this and that. And I just said to them, they're great lads. They're capable of good performances, as we've shown recently. But today we've come up short, and we haven't. And not enough of us have stepped up to the plate. So I'm not going to stand here and sort of. Look, I'm not slating them and saying all of a sudden we're a terrible team, because we're not. When we've got everyone available, we're a good side. But we had enough out there today to not lose the game at least. But what worried me was the way we conceded the first, and then we kind of collapsed a little bit. And conceding from set pieces, I'm a nightmare on set pieces, scoring and defending them. And they're people losing their runners and things is not right. So, but we have to dust them down, get everyone hopefully right, and we've got a week now to get things right. But we'll see.
There were a lot of players out today. Some of them, though, had been out at other clubs and have played in the FA Cup this season. Do you regret that now?
Yeah, of course you regret. I suppose the 2 you're really talking about is Mason and Mason. I mean, there's 3. There's Ben Hermitage, who to be honest, hadn't been for injuries. Ben would have been left out to play at Corinthians because that's what he needs, but we've called him back. So I suppose the 2 you're talking about is Finn Rutherford and Mason. Yeah. Mason needed to go and get games. He was coming off and getting subbed, so I had to make that decision. If I had a crystal ball and I could turn around and look at it and go, oh, we're going to get this amount of injuries and suspensions, then of course I wouldn't have let them out. But made that decision at a time when we had a squad where they probably weren't even getting on the bench. So my thinking behind it was obviously to get Mason minutes, to get him up to speed as quick as we can. And as it happened in the last round of the FA Cup for Herne Bay, he scored and then had to come off injured. So I suppose you go, yeah, I do regret it, but I don't really, because they need to go out and get football. And like I say, we've picked up injuries, and unfortunately, you go through spells in the season, and everything has come at once. And again, this isn't just reflecting on today, but you've got Lou Collins who had something going on away from football, which we knew about when we signed him. So unfortunately, it fell today, and I can't hold that against him. It's a previous engagement. So, but it just kind of added to what we've got missing. You look at the Faggy, obviously, with everything going on, and then Faggy's suspension rolls on. So it's been one of those. Our luck at the moment's kind of going that way, but the league, the boys have done well and have dug deep. Even the games we lost, we were in, apart from the Hampton game. Today we've come up short, and a lot of them, lads, they don't mean to have a bad game. They don't mean to do what they did, but unfortunately sometimes it happens, and today is one of those. And like we've just said to him in there, the supporters in the bar, we need to go and buy them a beer. We front it. They're a good group, and we've just got to get everyone prepared and as many back as we can now for Saturday, which Cheshunt will be a really tough game.
Thanks for your honesty tonight.
No problem. Cheers, Matt.